Welcome, gentlemen. I'm Richie Blake, as you know, bass tutor here at Western College. It's a real privilege and a rare treat to be streaming live. So, little golfer's clap for the powers and wonders of the internet. For those of you joining me this afternoon, I have here on my left, you're right, Mr. Mike Watkins. Give us a wave to camera, Mike. And Mr. Ed Gerlach. Give a wave, Ed. Okay, so today what I wanted to do was basically give you some extra tuition on some of the concepts that you guys have been studying using the iTutor series of lessons, okay? In particular, I wanted to look at a real common chord sequence, you know, and we're just going to look at two chords. Now, when I say we're just going to look at two chords, it seems like, oh, is that it? But in reality, these two types of chords put together in this sequence come up in countless styles of music, you know, rock music, funk, pop, you'll find them in jazz, reggae, soul, the lot. So being able as a bass player to develop and hone your ideas and be able to speak freely on the instrument against these chords is a really good thing to do. Okay, so let's make a start. Now, what I'm going to do, let's pick a chord sequence, okay? So, like I said, it's only going to be two chords. So I start with open repeat marks, and here's our first chord that both of you should be familiar with, yeah? A minor 7, okay? It's just going to be a 4-bar sequence, so we'll stay on that chord for 2 bars. And then, what type of chord is that, Mike?
7 chord.
Yeah, what do we call it? In music theory?
Dominant 7th.
Dominant 7th, absolutely. Spot on. So we're just going to have that for another bar. So, and there you go, close repeat marks. Now, that's it in essence. It's 4 bars, okay? We use the word vamp to describe this. Now, there's been hundreds of tunes, literally, that have been written just about these two chords. But we're going to have a look at them today. In terms of notes then, I mean, as a bass player, when you come to construct bass lines, for me, if you understand what chord you're trying to voice or spell out harmonically, that is the key, okay? So, Ed, question to you, my man. What are the chord tones of an A minor 7? The root is,
A.
Obviously. I'll have that one.
And you've got the minor third, which is a C.
Yeah, cool.
Fifth, which is an E.
Yeah.
And the 7, which is a G.
Okay, fantastic. Right, Mike then, over to you. The D dominant 7 that you rightly identified. What chord tones make up that? The D's mine. That's mine.
F sharp.
F sharp, okay. What kind of third is that in terms of an interval between your D and your F sharp?
Major.
Major third, okay. Absolutely right. A dominant 7th, remember, is a major triad with the flat 7 interval stacked on top. So the 5th?
A.
A. And finally, the last interval?
C.
Excellent. So let's after 4, let's just play on quarter notes at that speed. Let's arpeggiate that chord just so we can hear the colour of it, okay? So our notes are A, C, E and G. All right, shape's completely up to you. Whatever shape you're fluid with on the neck, any position as well, absolutely fine. Let's just arpeggiate after 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there's your minor 7-1 chord, okay? So A minor 7, the notes of A, C, E, and G. If you kind of look at shapes that we're creating on the neck, we've already described in the series of lessons the fact that from any root note, you can find a minor third interval, 1 string up, 2 frets back. And that minor 7th arpeggio voiced on the bass this way, like a big diamond shape that happens across the neck, is actually, you know, you're playing the minor third again from E to G. And working in shapes is sometimes a really great way to kind of think about the bass neck and get more common with the layout of the fretboard versus notes that you're playing. Okay, likewise, the D dominant 7th arpeggio. From any root note, let's voice the arpeggio of that chord using those tones that we found out, D, F sharp, A and C. Okay, so after 4 on quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, fantastic. Right, where does this come from then, Ed? These chords, where are we getting them from?
From a scale.
From a scale, absolutely. What kind of scale?
A major scale.
Okay, it's going good. What major scale?
G.
G major. Yeah, agree with that, Mike? Yeah, absolutely. When you think of it, the word diatonic, you know, it means of a scale or of a tonal centre. These chords were actually expanded from the G major scale. Yeah, so they're actually representative of modes within that scale. What number chord is that relative to G major then, Mike?
Second.
Yeah, the second chord, okay. So what kind of scale could we associate the second chord with? What mode was it?
Dorian.
Dorian. So from the root note, A Dorian, yeah? Let's just put that up. I mean, thinking as a bass player, to be able to construct stuff, and I'm not thinking about this real time, but certainly in your practice routines, you know, you need to be able to kind of think like this and expand. I know in previous lessons with you guys teaching instrumentally, if you know the chord tones, that's your harmony, that's what you want to spell out. You might be in a band, you've got a drummer, you've got a bass player, you've got a guitarist, and the guitar player is singing and playing chords and stuff, and all of a sudden the guitarist is soloing. You know, now this harmony is just repeating relentlessly, just going round and round and round. And we're the only ones on the bandstand playing that harmony, aren't we? So the more you understand where it's going, how it sounds, the choices you can make, the more you can support the other musicians around you, and also, more importantly, react, you know, because that's what's great about music. It's instinctive, it's spontaneous, yeah? Ed, if we're in the key of G major then, D was what number mode of the G major scale?
Fifth.
The fifth mode, absolutely. And it's got a name, which is?
Mixolydian.
From which root note?
D.
D Mixolydian, absolutely. Apologies for my writing. Unbelievable. Okay, there we go. So we've got A Dorian now to represent the A minor 7 chord, and D Mixolydian now to represent our D dominant 7. Okay, Ed, could you play me the scale of A Dorian, please? Okay, that's cool, yeah? And D Mixolydian for you, please, Mike? Beautiful. Can you see they're all sharing the same common tones? By basically expanding the modes of our major scale, we've just started from different points on the scale to create A Dorian, the second note, D Mixolydian, the fifth note. Now, what I'm going to do is just put on a drum groove a minute. This will help us with time, and I like to practice with certainly a metronome at least, but preferably a drum machine. Why? Because it's a bit more human. It gets us to feel the music a bit better. Okay, so I've got a groove at 85 BPM. Here it is. There's your quarter notes. So this is going to move quite slowly to begin with, okay? There's bar 3 and bar 4. Okay, if I voice these chords on the instrument, the A minor 7, D dominant 7, yeah? Right, okay, so what choices have you got as a musician then? What are you going to be thinking about when you come to create a bass line under that groove? Ed?
Voicing the chords,
yeah?
Voicing the arpeggios.
Absolutely. Looking...
shared notes between them and stuff.
I love it. Well, we already know there's loads of shared notes between them because we've got, you know, these two chord types have been created from the same scale, so they're immediately sharing the same tones. What else are you listening for, Mike, in terms of musicians around you, in this case the drum groove, if you want to create a bass line? Have a listen to this groove. If you were to create a bass line to support that, what instrumentation in that drum groove would you particularly be looking for, or listening out for?
Well, like the kick drum.
Kick drum, absolutely. You know, playing in a band, bass player, drummer equals rhythm section. You work together, you know, and in terms of instrumentation that sounds like how we play, kicks, you know, boom, 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 you know? Okay, play along with me on that rhythm, just on the root notes of each chord. The sequence starts in 1, 2, 3, 4. Bar 2. Upper 4th to represent D dominant 7. Keep that going. I'll fill in the chords, okay? Lock with that kick drum. Okay, so immediately it sounds like we're playing with the drummer. Now, this is what I said. If I drop the chords out, because our memory is still serving us, or hopefully, you know, we can still hear the sound, the colour of those chords happening against what we're playing, yeah? You should be kind of hearing this in there. Yeah, those notes of our A minor 7 chord, yeah? Okay, and then our D dominant, okay? Now, to embellish on that, what we've got to do is somehow add some more flavour or spice. That comes from our chord tones, okay? So let's try swapping duties, okay? So what I want to do, I want to go twice round the 4-bar vamp with each musician, okay? So who wants to go first? No volunteers? Well done, Ed. Okay, so Ed, if you go first, go twice around the sequence, and I want you to improvise or create a bass line, okay? Pay particular attention to that rhythm we've developed, following the kick drum, but also your note choice, okay? Now, we've already kind of divided in half what we need to think about by extracting the chord tones or the stuff that sounds really, really good. Why? Because it's these notes here in blue that ultimately make up the harmony in that chord, okay? So don't use all of them, okay? Start simple. Maybe pick 2, roots minor thirds, roots perfect fifth, root or this flat 7 interval, okay? And see where it goes. Go twice around the whole sequence, and then we'll swap round to Mike and I'll comp the chords, all right? And we'll just swap it and see what we can create. Okay, here we go. After 4 then, Ed. 2, 3, 4. Okay, Mike, after you. Well done, Ed. Excellent. Have another go, Ed. Okay, Mike. Last time for you, my man. It's all right. Excellent. Well done, boys. Golfers clap, I think. Okay, Mike, explain to me and those joining us on the live stream what it was you were thinking in terms of creating that. Obviously, I gave you some parameters, pick some chord tones and go, but what was going through your mind when you were creating that line? Because you had some good ideas.
Not really sure. I stuck with the bass drum.
Yeah, okay, so that's
and then
cool.
I just kind of stayed on A and then did the octave.
Yeah.
And then went to the minor third and then kind of walked up to the D.
Okay, so you had what do we call that in music? Using notes a passing tone. Okay, so we're kind of linking stuff together. So Mike's using a passing tone, which is basically a note that doesn't exist within these chord tones, but we use it to kind of smooth out the transition rather than having a big jump or a leap from one chord to another. It kind of smooths it out for the listener. Chromaticism. Okay, so using passing tone. Also, one thing that I really like personally using, as well as hearing other people, is octaves. Everybody forgets about them because you think, oh, it's the same note. It is, but it's not. It's the same letter in terms of note, but the octave actually positions it, whether it be on a piano keyboard or certainly the fretboard. So never forget about octaves. That's cool. And one thing that Mike said as well, the minor third. Yeah? Why would you pick that out of all the other chord tones?
Because it's the only one that's not in the other note, if you know what I mean.
Go on, explain it.
The 7th chord doesn't have a minor third.
Okay, so the minor.
Minor.
Brilliant, it spells out minor. Yeah, you're leaning towards what makes this chord sound the way it does. We can break music down, break it down, strip off all the extensions off of chords to leave us with 2 options at the end of the day, major or minor. So gravitate towards what gives a chord its quality. Absolutely, great response. So, you're using the minor third to spell out the chord's quality. Okay, Ed, over to you then. I think we have a question from... Do we? Have we got a question from our live feed? Obviously not. Oh, we have. We have a question. So thank you very much for whoever's posted this one. Here we go. What is an easy way of remembering the major modes? And that's from Ollie. So give a wave to Ollie, guys. Down that camera, I think. Ollie. Okay. Oh, crikey, that's a radiator. Okay, an easy way of remembering the major modes. Well, for me, when I kind of learnt them, it's about practice. You know, I'd like to throw it to you guys. How do you remember the modes? Ed?
Well, it's going to be the same notes. Like if you're doing all the modes of a certain scale, obviously it's going to be all the same notes, just changing what note you're starting on. So I suppose depending how good your net knowledge is, it's going to be easy to remember anyway.
Yeah,
once
I mean,
you know the basic scale because it's the same notes.
Absolutely. I mean, when I learned, it's about repetition and practice. You know, you can't expect to get good at things if you don't spend enough time working with them or developing it. I mean, I expand the modes from where they start, in my opinion, which is the major scale. You know, and the easiest way. Oh, crikey! There's me off on one, thinking chords again. If you were to spell out the C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then back to the octave C, you know, those notes have a sequence, you know, and you can number them 1 through to 8. We can negate 8. Why? Because it's the same note in effect, but just an octave higher. So now we've got 7 tones. Now, the only thing that gives a scale its quality, you know, we talked about major or minor, is the position of semitone intervals. That's it. Okay, so where are the semitone intervals in that then, Mike? The C major scale. Where do they exist? Between which notes?
E and F.
E and F, absolutely. And which other position?
B and C.
B back to the C, absolutely. And remembering the notes, or the modes of the major scale, is quite simple. To construct a new one, you just start on a new note. So if we bring the D down here and just use the notes that we've already got, can you see? Already, that's a new scale, which is the second mode. What was the second mode?
Dorian.
Dorian, absolutely. So there's no kind of trickery or science involved with it. We just use what we can. Think of this as a parent and it's creating offspring. Yeah? It's just like, you know, it's giving birth to a new scale here. We could start it conversely. Start it from number 4 or the note of F, Mike. What would the notes be?
F.
Yeah?
G, A, B, C, D, E.
And then back to F. Absolutely. Another scale. What's the name of that mode? Oh, I put Mike on the spot. Go on, Mike. It's not there.
Lydian.
Lydian, absolutely. Now, what's really cool about this is, again, you identified correctly where the semitone intervals are, but you can see they've shifted here. This time between notes, if we renumbered them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, this time between notes 2 and 3, and now notes 6 and 7. Okay, so the scale gets a completely different quality. Again, the semitone intervals in this mode now exist here and here. And you know, then you expand out the chord tones, you know, not trying to elaborate too much, but expand out the chord tones, and you get different chord types. So a complete diatonic series, if you wanted to spell out, let's just delete these bits here. Check me out on the smartboard. Unbelievable. Okay, basically for C, what kind of chord do we get if we extend it, Ed?
A major 7.
Yeah, absolutely. Spelling it out from the root note. Type of chord for a minor? For D, Mike?
Minor 7.
Beautiful. Okay, D minor 7. Ed, keep going.
E minor 7.
E minor 7. Mike?
F major 7. Sorry, I couldn't see.
That's all right. Ed?
G dominant 7.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike?
A minor 7.
And then finally, Ed, little tricky one.
B minor 7 flat.
Yeah, that's a real, you know, and all that harmony is coming from what is basically the building blocks of music, in my mind. You know, the major scale. It's quite astonishing, really, and obviously in different keys, you'd have a different major scale, but importantly, you could just paste the root notes in there. Okay, so that was from Ollie. Hope that's helped, Ollie. Just going back on topic for a second, back to our groove, Mike was using passing tones, octaves, minor thirds. Okay, I would do exactly the same, you know. The better you understand a chord sequence in terms of the notes that make up individual chords, but more importantly, the scales associated with the type of chord. Yeah? If I voice that A minor 7 chord, Ed, could you just play me A Dorian, which we've put up here? Okay, so you can hear it against Ed's scale. If I don't play the chord, play the scale again, Ed, but hold the sound of the chord in your head. Yeah, you can hear it. You can definitely hear or I can. Perhaps I'm just wired up wrong, I don't know. But I can definitely hear that in my head, in my musical subconscious against that. Okay, Mike, for you then, here's the dominant 7, okay? Play me D mixolydian this time. Yeah? Again, if I take the chord away, yeah, you can hear it. Okay, I want to repeat the process again, okay, with working on some lines, but we're just going to up the tempo a little bit. This time we're at 100 BPM, okay? So we've taken it up a little bit, so we're kind of verging on a faster funk, you know. What I like to do is see if we can get some scalar ideas in there, okay? What I mean by that is basically we've used some chord tones. Try and use elements of the scale, whether it be A Dorian for this one. Now, because of the connection between the two modes, G major being able to create A Dorian and also D mixolydian, you could actually think A Dorian for the whole thing, or, you know, because they share the same notes. Yeah, they've all come from G major, in effect, okay? So try and get some scalar ideas. If it's easier to think from the root notes and associating the minor 7th with A Dorian, do it, you know? You've got to explore your musical personalities. You've got to try this stuff out to see what sticks. Because the sooner you stumble across something in practice that you like the sound of, whether it's octave, you know, or minor thirds versus major thirds, yeah? The sooner you stumble on those in your own practice routines, you've got something that's individual to you, something that you love, yeah? That makes it so much more convincing. Why? Because our soul latches onto it when we play, we commit to our ideas, and the audience feel it, all right? So regardless how weird it seems when you're practicing, always record your practice, you know, especially when you're developing ideas like this, because when you're really in the moment, you're not generally thinking at this deep level. You're kind of, the music's passing through you, you know. We're literally a vehicle. This, you should be able to speak through this, or at least aim to speak through any instrument we play. Okay, so seeing as Ed went first, over to you, Mike. Okay, so once again, we'll go twice around this sequence. See if you can put in some scalar ideas, like I said. All right, here we go. 2, 3, 4. Nice. Lovely, Mike. Okay, Ed? Mike? Ed? Excellent. Fantastic, well done, absolutely. Can you hear the difference using those scalar ideas makes? Okay, here's the way I liken it, right? Okay, new page, new page. You've got your chord sequence happening for 4 bars. Let's represent those 4 bars. There's your start lines, okay? Bar 1, bar 2, bar 3, and bar 4, okay? I'm going to represent A minor 7 as a green line. There's A minor 7, and it goes up a 4th. That's our D dominant 7, okay? So D7 up here and A minor 7. Now, when we use chord tones, okay, our line is very much, you know, static. It's the way I think about it, the chord tones, okay, if I think of a scale as a series of steps, yeah? You know, do-da-do-da-do-da-do-da. And the chord tones are obviously taken from certain intervals along the steps. Chord tones usually being which numbers, Mike?
1, 3, 5, 7.
Fantastic. That was a good guess. Okay, the fact is, can you see, they're all at different heights. That one's there, the 3rd's there, the 5th's there, the 7th there. So if you're just using chord tones, your ideas are going to sound a little bit lumpy, you know? By using the scale tones, you've got everything in between. So your idea can maybe ebb or flow. It can certainly using passing tones like you did in the first instance, Mike, you can kind of guide the listener, usher them into the next chord, yeah? And vice versa, you can go on through. Got any questions based on that, gents? Yeah? Do you feel a bit more competent with giving things a go and tackling this time of chord sequence? Certainly look out for the great tunes that use minor seventh chords going on to a dominant fourth. Any ideas? Tunes that might use that progression? There's quite a few of them I can think of. Herbie Hancock's Chameleon? Yeah? Now, that is just B flat minor 7, E flat 7, which is that chord sequence but up a semitone. Another tune? I'll put you on the spot now, haven't I, gents? Stevie Wonder's I Wish. I mean, that's a classic example of using passing tones to guide the listener. What's great about that, there's your root notes in E flat minor, okay? So E flat minor, then you're down to the low minor third, G flat, A flat, which is the fourth of the scale, B flat, the fifth, and then the chord goes to A flat dominant seventh. But then there's this beautiful chromatic line, you know, that you put it right on the head. The passing tones are great ways to kind of guide the listener through the chord sequence. So I recommend, you know, check out Herbie Hancock's Chameleon. Learn that bass line because it's killer. You know, take elements from it. That's how we learn. You know, we listen and get inspired by other people, and then we personalize it. Take I Wish, take Chameleon, and digest them. Had another question through on the feed, which hopefully you guys, it'd be great to get your responses on this. It's from Alex. Give away to Alex down Charlie's camera. Alex. Okay, Alex has basically said, what exercise should I play every day? Obviously the lunge, but obviously in an instrumental sense. In terms of your practice routine then, Mike, what do you do?
What do I play every day? I play the modes, the major scale.
Okay, yeah. Could you give us an example of that, Mike? Oh, let's just put Mike on the spot. Come on, man, you can do it.
Do it in C.
Yeah, let's do it in C major. So basically, going back and answering Ollie's question, what you're going to do, Mike, can you explain it?
I just play the modes like...
Yeah. Okay, so you'll go through this chord sequence. So I'll be the bouncing ball. There's brilliant. Brilliant, and back to C major. Spot on. Great example of an exercise, yeah. I run that one as well. You know, you can arpeggiate them, you know, up and down across the neck, and develop it and test yourself. What about yourself then, Ed? An exercise that Alex should practice every day.
One that I always use to warm it up is the one where you just go through all of the different arpeggios and then gradually go down the neck. So major,
yeah,
major 7,
yeah,
dominant 7,
yeah,
minor 7,
yeah,
minor 7 flat 5, and then full diminished, half
yeah.
diminished, then full diminished,
Fantastic.
and then carry it on and go
Yeah.
back down the neck.
It's a brilliant exercise, that is. What it does as well, remember we were talking about the subconscious hearing chords. You're hearing 90% of the chords that make up popular music. You know, and if you practice them every day, Alex, you know, they're getting into your head, you learn to recognize the sounds, you're playing all the chord tones, so you're developing the shapes under your fingers to basically learn to improvise or create lines. So, I think we're done for today, gents. Let's give a wave down Charlie's cam. Say goodbye to everybody. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon. Ta-ra.